Welcome to the November 13th, 2023 meeting for the Kearney Planning and Zoning Commission. If you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shirley, if you had a chance to take roll.
I have taken roll, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you. I guess the first thing would be the consent agenda, the meetings from our September 11th meeting. Any comments? All right. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Great. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. New business. So the first item on our agenda is the City of Kearney Railroad Track rezoning from C to M. For 0.81 acres on West Washington Street adjacent to Mr. Dell's. Do you want David have the staff report?
Yeah, my screen just went off. Hold on a second. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Tonight's first item on tonight's agenda is rezoning request made by the City of Kearney for 0.818 acre tract of ground on West Washington Street adjacent to Mr. Dell's. The City of Kearney purchased some old railroad right-of-way a couple of years ago. It's actually been something that it's been in the works for quite a while, but railroads don't move very quickly. Cities don't necessarily move very quickly either. So we acquired the property in 2021. I'm moving the screen to an aerial map to show the location. It's probably the best spot to have up on the screens. So the yellow outline would be the property that the city acquired in 2021. So it goes up, almost touches I-35 at the north end. The 0.818 acres is outlined in black. So this strip down on the south portion is 100 feet wide. The black strip is about 500 feet north and south and about 75 feet wide adjacent to the Dell side. That would leave 25 feet that the city would retain. We have a water line through that property. It provides an opportunity, we might be able to extend a trail up through that right of way and work our way north towards McWhorter Park and Jesse James Park. The railroad property is zone C commercial, kind of strange because the west side's property on the west is zoned industrial, property on the east is zoned R2 for two-family dwellings, although most of the properties are single-family dwellings over on that side. Notices were posted on October 26th and November 2nd and November 9th. Had the date right in the notice, but the day was wrong because we had a previous meeting that was on a Wednesday, so that notice said Wednesday on it. I do the little cut and paste job, so I screwed that up, but we resent out notices to the neighbors just in case they didn't get that the first time. The purpose for this rezoning request is the city has entered in a sales contract, like I said, with Mr. Dell's, and that was listed as one of the conditions that was part of that contract. And so that's been brought to you today. The rezoning request is recommended by staff to approve with the following conditions: develop the project in compliance with city codes, conditions, requirements, plans, and payment of fees and taxes, which is our standard comment that we have on all of our applications. Your recommendation tonight would go forward to the Board of Aldermen. That's scheduled for next week. This is a public hearing, so you'll want to open the floor to some public comment. And I think there are some neighbors that might be here to address this issue.
Okay. So we'll open it up to a public hearing. Anyone want to come up to the stand and you give your name and address? Yeah, state your name and address.
And then if you've not signed in, go ahead and sign in.
I know.
My name is Renee Brown, and I live directly across right off of Major Street. I am that first driveway. There's a house on West Major, then there's another bluish gray one, and I'm the ranch.
Can you point on the?
I'm number 10.
Number 10? Okay.
Yeah,
So up there's a little, that kind of looks like a driveway, but it's called West Clark Terrace.
Yes, they were nice enough to blacktop it 5 or 7 years ago for me. I am the only one with that address. Let me tell you a little bit of the history. The house was built before there was even a right-of-way to get in there. Ricky Fouts built it. The mailbox when my husband bought it was over on Clark Street. That's why we're on Google right now. We're Northwest Clark. Nobody can find me on Google Maps. So I'm just like there. But we have mowed all of this area for 34 years because it was railroad, and when they left it, they didn't take care of it. I don't want anything for that. My concern is, are they going to be able to build anything in that area that would block my view? Because that would definitely lower my property value. No one's going to want to buy a house that's down, you know, in there and can't see out anywhere. And that would be my biggest concern. I don't mind not having to mow all the railroad property anymore, but that's just my concern. And what might happen on down the road. You know, Mr. Dell's was built after my husband bought the house. So there's been a lot of changes, but that's my concern.
Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Peterson, and I'm here on behalf of my mother, Joanne Eldridge. Joanne lives at 403 North Clark. I live at 405 North Clark. And Mom's property is item number 5. And we don't oppose the rezoning. We just want to kind of go on record as being concerned about what they do propose to do in that area, because someday there's probably going to be a home on that lot, and that white line there back of 5 will be their backyard, and we only have a 20-foot buffer. So I'm really more concerned in the construction plan of what Mr. Dell does. So I just want to go on record right now that we'll be following this process. Thank you.
Anyone else? We don't have anyone online, do we? Doesn't look like.
Oh, I'm sorry, let me, that went down too. No, just city.
All right. Then I guess we'll close the public hearing portion. Open up to commission discussion. Comments, questions?
I got a question for Jennifer. Is that all the way up to Clark Street? Is that all contiguous, or this red line here was on the?
I don't know why that red line is there. I don't understand that.
Okay.
5 is all the way to the yellow line, from Clark to the yellow line.
Okay.
Would be, I'm not sure why they show that divided, but
This is ours right here.
yeah, but there's a red line on it, and I don't know why that is. It came off of the assessor's page like that.
Well, I just wondered because, I mean, there's no way to get to that if that's a separate piece of property.
No, it's.
So it's not.
It's all one.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna click on it. Let's see what Clay County.
I clicked on it too, and it
Yeah.
says.
So that's the tax parcel. They call it either one tax parcel. I assume one tax
It's one
parcel.
tax parcel. I do not know what the red line is.
Red line usually means like a plat of some sort, but probably, see this Bogart second edition? That's a plat name, so maybe Bogart second edition went to this red line, but they acquired additional property at some point.
I thought that was strange when I saw this that way.
Yeah, it is.
That other little sliver there to the left of 6 .02 as well, I don't know.
Part of the railroad. Or the city acquired, I think that might be a tract the city acquired years ago,
Okay,
before the railroad, and the county is showing it as part of the railroad property that we own now.
do we have any idea what Mr. Dell plans to do with the ground? Or-
There would be a site plan prepared that would come before you
I mean,
guys.
they obviously needed it actually for the road if you wanted to throw a fit. Somebody could have anyway. I guess, well, the railroad owned it and they didn't care if they drove on it, it wasn't a big deal, but now that the city owns it, it's a different deal.
In the proposed zoning, the minimum side yard setback would be 20 feet, so they'd be at least 20 feet with the building. If a driveway was located on that side, it could, depending on how they arrange the driveway, it could move the building a little further to the west, I guess.
Did you leave this little sliver here for a reason for the bike trail type stuff, or is that where the water line is?
Two reasons. Water line, there's a water line that runs through that 25-foot length, and then it gives us an opportunity to utilize the whole property if we want to do it like a rails to trails type of program.
That's all I've got.
And tonight, we're just talking about the rezoning. That's all we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And Mr. Dells doesn't own that property, so there's no site plan that's been prepared. We don't know. If they were to do that, we don't know what the timing is on that, though.
Right. Anything else? All right. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the city's West Major Street tract rezoning from C to general commercial to M industrial district with staff recommendations.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right. Next order of business is the Fox and Fire site plan. We have a site plan application for Fox and Fire Barbecue at the corner of North Jefferson and Lawrence Street. Dave, you want to give the staff report?
Yeah, and I flipped to, they did a little color rendition of their site layout. I thought that'd be the most appropriate to have at least on the screen right now. So Andy Fox is here in the audience tonight. He's with Fox and Fire Barbecue, and they propose to construct a 1,428 square foot building at 102 West Lawrence Street, which is the northwest corner of North Jefferson and West Lawrence Street. North Jefferson address probably would be nice to make more sense, but I think that was property's address years ago when there was a car wash there at one point. Some people might remember that. I know Kent, I'm sure will remember that, and Kathy. Fox and Fire has been operating at this site with temporary approvals from the Board of Aldermen for a couple of years. They have had a couple of barbecue trailers or smokers and trailer there, and they've utilized that site to sell barbecue. And the goal was always for them at some point to locate into a permanent structure, and it's their desire to do that. It's our Board of Aldermen's desire for them to do that as well, and so that's why the site plan's been presented to you today. They're getting themselves prepared to move into a more permanent building. The existing parking lot and the little small building will remain, and then the new addition would be their new building, a little sidewalk that walks up to it. The Lawrence Street entrance is really wide. If you've ever used that, they will narrow that down to 30 feet, get the pavement away from the intersection so you have safer vehicle movements. In its place, they'll extend the sidewalk along the east side of that entrance, and then a north-south sidewalk along North Jefferson Street to there's a phase line. So the southern portion of the property is what they'd be developing, potential future development down the road. And so they're proposing the sidewalk follow that phase line. The proposed building elevations include white vertical board and batten siding with a gray roof. It'll be black framed windows, with orange planters and then orange doors. There are a couple of overhead doors, one on the west side and then one on the north side. One on the north side opens up to the dining area. So weather's nice, they can open that up and get some fresh air and sunshine for customers. I spoke already about access to that site. Kearney Fire and Rescue Protection District may require a key box be addressed as part of the building permit, which they generally do when we have new buildings constructed. They did submit also a landscape plan. They'll utilize, there's some trees along the west property line where they have a buffer up against the residential. They'll have additional plantings that they'll make, and then also construction of a privacy fence along the west side too. The buffer's up against single-family residences. Also zoned R2 over there. We're pretty close to Mr. Dell's actually. So some of the neighbors for their property are similar neighbors to the Mr. Dell's property. There are no signs proposed as part of their site plan, though if they were to install signs, it would require a sign permit. And then there's some limits on the size of the sign and the size of signs that they were attaching to the building. Staff recommends approval of the Fox and Fire site plan at 102 West Lawrence Street with the following conditions. 1, submit an updated site plan with revisions required by the Planning and Zoning Commission if necessary, if there are some changes. 2, submit a copy of the DNR land disturbance permit if necessary, if they disturb more than 1 acre of ground. 3, install and maintain sediment and erosion controls throughout construction. 4, install a key box or provide gate access. Just provide key box if required by the Kearney Fire and Rescue Protection District. Submit a building permit application prior to construction. Submit a sign permit application prior to sign installation. Develop the project in compliance with all codes, conditions, requirements, plans, and payment of fees and taxes. This application will be forwarded to the Board of Aldermen for consideration. And as I mentioned earlier, Andy Fox is in the audience today. He brought a couple of architects with him who prepared the plans and the site plan drawings. So if there are other detailed questions, they might be able to answer questions as well.
Okay. Does the applicant have any comments for anything you want to add?
No, I think Dave did a good job of giving the general overview. We've been running for a couple of years in a temporary situation, which we've appreciated, and we feel like we've had enough community support that we feel like we're ready to move forward to the next phase. So.
Questions, comments?
I did have one, actually. I was curious. Looks like you're going to put your trailer back in there. You don't ever plan to get it out?
No. In fact, so I've already talked to the health department about this, just preliminary conceptual ideas, and they had asked that we sign something with them that states that the trailer is not mobile at that point. That way it's just in the building. And in fact, it's going to be pretty well plumbed into like the plumbing and electrical. And so it would not be, you could get it out of there, but you'd have to work really hard to get it out.
I was going to say, according to your landscape plan and everything else, you're going to have a heck of a time getting it out of there. So.
I think the goal would, over time, grow into a full built-in permanent kitchen, but.
So, yeah.
And your building is a steel frame building?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's all I had.
David, I can't tell from this rendering, but the outside, is it similar to the building that's already on site?
They will actually update the building that's on site. So the one on site, I can't remember if it's horizontal or if it's vertical siding. I think it's horizontal sidings and it's got the stone veneer. They would change that building to match this proposed building.
Okay.
What kind of lighting is over there on that street area? Is there any lighting for like in the evening? I'm assuming there's lighting on Jefferson, right?
There'll be lights on Jefferson.
3 poles.
3 poles, okay.
And they've got a couple of poles in the parking lot.
Okay.
that are existing.
Anything else? Entertain a motion. This part's not open for public hearing, sorry.
Regular site plan.
I will if I can. My computer's. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Oh, I want to see the,
You want this one?
I want that one. Well, that was easy. I'll make a motion to approve the site plan of Fox and Fire.
Second.
Any further discussion?
All of that just for that.
I can't, my computer's not working.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Passes. All right, that brings us to our discussion items.
Yeah, so at the September meeting, we were talking about solar equipment, roof mount solar equipment.
Yeah.
And after discussion, the Planning Zoning Commission asked staff to pull some realtors and ask them, in their experience, what have they seen? Does that affect the cost of a house? You know, what people purchase a house for, affect the price and those kinds of things. So I did pull, I contacted 5 different realtors, heard back from 2 prior to the last meeting in October. Third one commented after the October meeting, so I added that into my memo and kind of updated my memo. We had one realtor who made comments, I would say, kind of in their experience, here's what we see, and they say that the roof-mounted panels have not affected buyers or kept them from purchasing houses, other than sometimes it affects the person's house who has the solar panels, because if they put out a loan and the loan isn't paid out, then it could affect the purchase price. But as far as neighbors, it doesn't. Another realtor, it seems like it might have been personal opinion. And then the third realtor kind of went in personal opinion also. I don't know if you guys read through the comments or not and saw that. And then I guess, I don't know if you want to talk about solar panels now and then chickens, or, I mean, they're 2 separate things, but the board also asked me to, if I'm going to ask the realtors about solar panels, might as well ask them the chicken question too and see if that has any effect on them as well. So I did that too, and tacked the comments in the same memo to the commission.
Well, I'll say that I think realtor number 2, I feel like I'm on a game show here. I thought, and I don't know how many of you guys have been north. It's been a while since I've been in Gilman City or Bremer, but we used to have a business in Bremer many years ago. And yeah, there was pretty much whatever you wanted to do in that town. It was kind of like Ozark's Code. You could just do whatever you wanted and don't ask anybody. And that's what it looked like. And I thought that was a pretty good description of what I thought you would end up with in Kearney if you allow some of this stuff to happen. You know what my feelings are. Been pretty clear on both issues. So
We should start with the solar panels, because right now they are allowed on street facing. So if we're opposed to that, we have to change the zoning, or it would be the code.
Yeah, it'd be a code amendment.
The code-
Yeah, it's not something we do tonight. If the commission wanted to recommend that happen, then staff would prepare an amendment. Maybe let me know kind of some key points, if there are key points to be made, and then staff can prepare an amendment and bring it back to you for consideration.
So let me be clear on this, just for myself, is what you're saying is that I would have to say that all the covenants and restrictions in the town and all the subdivisions would not allow it as it is. But what you're saying is that in Jefferson City, they've said you can't do that. Covenants and restrictions don't count.
Right.
So basically, you might as well not have a homeowners association, I guess, because if Jeff City can overrule the people that live in the neighborhood, it seems a little backwards to me, but.
Yeah, so the state statute was updated,
So-
went into effect, I think, maybe at the beginning of this year, that said that a homeowner association could not affect the
So,
efficiency and,
so if that is a state statute, how can we, I mean, they're stomping on the covenants and restrictions. Well, does it make a difference that the city has an ordinance against doing it?
well, the state statute talks about homeowners associations, it doesn't
Doesn't say
specifically
anything
say
about the city.
Yeah, city
Okay.
codes.
Okay. Well, that would be what I would be in favor of, is writing some kind of restrictions by the city in the code for disallowing both of them as far as I'm concerned, but it would have to be two different things, I would imagine, wouldn't it?
Right, yeah. If you're talking panels and chickens.
Yeah.
So maybe let's do panels
So
first.
that would be my vote.
Are you saying not to allow them at all, or just not to allow them on the street facing?
Not to allow them on the street facing. No, I mean, if people want to put their money into it, and again, you know, from what I said before, I mean, if people want to spend their money on it, I guess it's their money. But I just don't think they belong on the front of the house, street facing.
I would agree with that. Yeah, of course, then you run into some of the way some of the lots are. You put them in the back, well, they're almost in the front yard of somebody else, but I think certainly on the front side of the house should be prohibited.
I know somebody had pointed out to me that there was a house in Stonecrest that had them on their house. And so I drove down there. I tried to find them. I'm not sure how effective they are, because it looks like to me they're facing north, and what other ones were on there that I could see were on the east side and covered by a tree. So I can't imagine they're getting much power out of that. But there again, they want to spend the money on it.
They don't bother me on the houses, I have to say, personally. Like, it doesn't affect, I have like 3 in my neighborhood, so I see them all the time. They don't bother me. It would impact my wanting to buy a house if they were on there, because I wouldn't want to have to deal with the hail, repairing my roof with like all the things, like it's not there yet for me, but they don't actually bother me. When I see them, I don't think, how that looks trashy or that looks whatever. I'm like, man, those people dropped some money. That's usually what I think.
Aren't they on the back of the house though?
No, they face the street. All of them, in fact, face the street in my neighborhood. Mhm. But honestly, the one, if it faced the back, if, let's say theirs wasn't on the street facing, the back of their house faces my front of my house, because the way the whole, I would, every time I looked out my window, I'd see them then. So to me, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. When you live in town inside of a neighborhood like that, you're close to everybody.
Well, I suppose that's true too, but when people come to town and they drive the streets, it just depends on what kind of city you want,
Or what you think they look like. I think it's the interpretation of what a solar panel looks like.
Well, if you're going to use Tesla's solar shingle, which looks like a shingle and you really can't tell, not too much anyway, that's different. But when you place old panels right on the front of the street, and they don't look like shingles, and they just look like black squares,
Right.
and and then they get damaged, and the homeowners go, well, I'm not fixing that damn thing, we aren't getting any power out of it anyway. So then what do you do?
Well, that's when we should have a code. This is actually sort of on my list of things, especially when we get
Well, I
to the
don't know,
chickens.
is that in the code, you gotta fix your house? David,
There-
I don't,
You can have laws on
Well, what are
code
you gonna
enforcement
do?
that have to do with paint and.
well, I mean, no,
lawn
really,
and
what do you do? You send you go out there and nail their door up or what?
We'd follow up on a complaint.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
But we don't have a code enforcement agent, right?
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
Who, that's their full, okay, but good.
I'm in the same camp. I don't have a problem with them on the front of the house. I know some people mention, the aesthetics, and personally, I don't like looking at yellow houses. I got one right across the street, but I'm not gonna regulate that. If they wanna put them on their roof, they put it on their roof. If that's front facing, because that's the most efficient place, that's where it should be, in my opinion. Now, should they be kept in good repair? You bet. If they get damaged, and yes, there should be, they should have to be fixed. I mean, it's, how long are we gonna let somebody with a blue tarp on their roof because it's got a hole in it? Not very long. Same things. But I don't see an issue with them on the front of the house.
Do we have an ordinance for satellite dishes where they can be placed?
I don't know specifically. I know that they're allowed as an accessory use. So
I wouldn't want one of those in my
there'd be some
neighbor's
setback.
front yard.
There'd be some setbacks.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any difference. I mean, if you can't have the satellite dish on there, why would you be able to have a solar panel on there? So, but I don't know, is there
I don't know what there is, I'm just,
A lot of homeowners associations also deal with
again,
yeah,
the
dishes.
yeah, they do.
covenants and restrictions usually.
I think anymore of the dishes are generally pretty small and they attach with the house.
They are.
Anyway, they're not like the
Yeah.
ones.
Is it possible, to pass a city ordinance that is for, wouldn't the state would still override it? It's like that would implement it in places with HOAs, like the law for the city is if the HOA says no, then that's the city law?
It's hard to do that because,
Yeah, the state would.
yeah, we don't, yeah, the city enforces city requirements. We
Yeah.
don't enforce homeowners association requirements.
And we don't want to.
So, yeah, we need to treat everybody the same, essentially. So,
Do we have an idea of how many, if there are any HOAs in the community that allow them? I mean, I know we have neighborhoods that don't have HOAs, but for those that do, are there any HOAs that allow?
that allow solar panels?
Because like I know, I don't think ours does.
I don't know the answer to that question.
It's a 0 in Merrimack too, I can tell you that.
I mean, we could, so one of my little options here,
Option would be somebody to make a motion, I would say either way.
either way.
Either direct staff to prepare some kind of amendment that would address related to solar panels on front building elevations. There was also the potential discussion about freestanding
Those are currently
panels in the
only allowed in the
backyard
backyard,
and
right?
doing, yes, they're allowed in the backyard. There are setback requirements, but there's not specific screening requirements, and so would additional screening from street views be necessary?
Well, I'll do this. I will make a motion that we actually table this until you get your other 2 board members on board here, so then you can have a vote of 7 and decide, then you
Bring
gotta.
it back bring it back later
Yeah,
when we have a
You
full
can bring it back
commission.
once you got
Okay.
your other 2 seats are filled here, then you got a full panel vote, and however which way it goes is the way it goes, but I don't want anybody saying, well, you only had 5 people there then, and so that's my motion, table until we get a full panel.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay,
Chicken side,
chicken,
same thing.
do it, yeah.
Same
do-
motion.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same motion.
It's a ditto motion.
So we have a full panel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, any, let's see, old business, none. Get the enclosures.
Yeah,
And
or
2024.
typical monthly permit report that goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Then also, we've got in the packet the 2024 meeting schedule. There are a couple meetings in October and November that are affected by holidays, so staff proposed that those be just moved 2 days to the Wednesday. A little easier to do that further ahead of time than like when we get a new holiday, so hopefully that's okay with everybody.
Anything
I
else?
think
Yeah,
might be worth, can we just get a motion approving the calendar?
oh,
Is
sure,
that okay?
yeah,
I didn't really put that in there, but I think it makes sense to do that.
Make a motion to approve the calendar.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, yep. Anything else?
Can I ask a quick question? David, do we have any update on when the other side of the interchange will open?
November 17th,
That's the plan. They're finishing up lighting,
Okay,
and so they're very close, but it's way safer to
sure,
do the lights without anyone there
sure, absolutely.
so I wasn't sure if you might have heard something.
Friday.
We can have a west side ribbon cutting too.
A little roundabout ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Hey, any reason for a party, right?
Right.
It's
donuts.
being used.
A lot.
On my way up here,
A lot.
I saw, the first thing I saw was somebody use the northbound on-ramp to get to 92. The very first thing I saw was someone using that, not to stay on I-35, but to get to 92.
I've done it like 5 times
I did it,
already.
but that was because I actually wanted to get to Nation Road and got there and realized I couldn't, and I was like, oh. But then I was like, wow, that was really fast because I didn't have to get on I-35, I just stayed in the merge lane.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be nice, especially once it's open, really nice.
Yeah.
I use it a lot. It's wonderful. I didn't want it there. Still don't necessarily want it there, but it's there, so I'm gonna use it.
I'm also glad Watson Drive is finally reopened. I missed that a lot, so. All right, anything else? All right, I make a motion to adjourn, or entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.